Steam and Steel has just got a new update very recently. The good thing about this new update is perhaps the fact that apparently, let's go to Grand Campaign, the nation of Spain is now playable. So this means that we're not going to have crashes, or perhaps we're going to have less crashes, but at least I tested these, the beginnings of the campaign, and I was managing to get my troops to other areas and even besiege and attack other regions. With that being said, let's go ahead and let's try the Kingdom of Spain in Steam and Steel.
Your Majesty Isabella II, by the grace of God, Queen of Spain, Empress of the Indies, and daughter of the Catholic kings, it is my humble duty to present to your Majesty a frank assessment of the situation that our kingdom faces. As your Majesty is undoubtedly aware, the political landscape of our nation is fraught with turmoil, both at home and abroad. Our nation has suffered from past conflicts and is yet to fully recover from the wounds of these events. The recent revolts in Catalonia, Valencia, and Andalusia are a clear reminder of the challenges that we face as a nation. The spirit of discord and unrest, if not properly addressed, may lead to further damage to our land and people. Furthermore, the position of our nation in Europe is tenuous, with other great powers seeking to exert their influence over our affairs. The ongoing conflict in the Italian peninsula, the ambitions of France in North Africa, and the encroachment of British interests in the Caribbean and Pacific all require careful consideration and navigation. It is imperative that our government adopt a comprehensive and strategic approach to address these issues. We must prioritize unity and reconciliation at home, whilst also strengthening our position abroad. To achieve this, we must employ all available resources and talents, and pursue a course of action that is both pragmatic and visionary. May it please your Majesty to consider these words and take appropriate action to safeguard the interests of our nation and people. Diego de Lerisundi, Comandante y Capitán de la Guardia de los Pirineos.
For the purposes of this campaign, Diego here is going to be our main character, and we are going to be trying to see the actual point of view from this character. So we're going to present the character here. He is 40 years old. He has a command of 3, a popularity of 3. He is very, very loyal with 6, and he has an uptightness of 5. With him, there's an academic advisor, so let's meet him. It says here, you don't need to know everything. That's what the academic advisor says to Diego. You don't need to know everything if someone else at hand does. 5% bonus on all trade income and 5% bonus on tax income. He has an overseer over here, which says here, when one can entrust another to oversee the workers, much more can be accomplished. These guys give 1% discount on construction costs and 1 to farming output and 1 bonus on mining income. Let's check out what we have. We have another staff here, which is a mentor, which gives +2 uptightness. He's always been by his young master's side, wise and trustworthy enough to help rise royalty. So up to this point, we can understand that our commander here is perhaps not so bad. He understands the concepts of the chain of command, but knows little of what orders to give. But this is going to change. Now, we must have another secondary character in the region of America. And I have found myself with another character here that I am pretty sure is going to be very, very good for us. So this guy is Domingo Gomez Damas. This guy is located here in the Havana. Domingo Gomez Damas is going to be the general that is going to be in charge of everything that has to do with America, being him a secondary character. Instead of this guy being so good at command in comparison with Diego, Mr. Domingo has born a follower. This man has no notion of what leadership is about. But we're going to say, in terms of the roleplay, that this guy is now assigned to America, but he has this thing that he admires Mr. Diego in the mainland. The popularity of this guy is 3, and he has as well 6 loyalty and a 5 uptightness. Instead, this guy has not too many staff with him, but he has as well a mentor. Now, in terms of traits, this guy is dull, charismatic, and vigorous. Let's compare him with Mr. Diego in Catalonia.
Your orders, Noble One.
He is the same, he is dual, charismatic, and vigorous. So let's see what he has here in traits. He has budding bureaucrat, so he is capable at managing the affairs of settlements. He is an aspiring commander, promising tactician, and understands logistics. Now, this thing here knows what is needed to keep an army supply and operational. +1 morale for all troops on the battlefield, +10% to movement points. So gives army the ability to force march. Good. We know that he knows of logistics, he has some advisors with him, he has military advisors, mentor advisors, and academic advisors. So up to this point, we know that our characters are good, at least standard. So let's go ahead and see who is the Prime Minister of our nation. Prime Minister is this guy called Alfonso. We are going to treat this guy as the possible new king, because I'm going to tell you that we're going to change the actual government of this nation. Let's have a look at who is the faction leader. Even though the queen is the one that Mr. Diego sent the letter, we now see that Prime Minister Alfonso is listed as the faction leader. Now let's have a look at him, because we're going to understand a little bit of this guy. He is located in Madrid with an army of cuirassiers, Spanish infantry, Spanish hunters, and loading rifle cannons. Okay, so this guy is sharp, charismatic, and vigorous. He is 2 stars, and he has 3 skulls in authority. He's not popular, he's more like a guy that gives a little bit of authority. And this is good, because even though we are going to be playing as Diego de Lerasundi as our main character, the guy that is going to lead our nation is the Prime Minister. So we know right now that he has, in terms of authority, an acknowledged figure in certain circles with a measured influence. Right now we are constitutional monarchy. We don't want to be a constitutional monarchy. We want to be, let me show you, it's not here. Let's go to Madrid, and it is found in here. So let's see what we're going to do here with this country. Right now the country is a constitutional monarchy, and we have constitutional monarchy level 1. The first one is provisional constitutional monarchy. What we want is to return to provisional absolute monarchy and to be a neo-absolutist monarchy with absolute monarchy as our actual government. It is going to take a little bit of time, but that is one of the goals of this playthrough. So the other thing, let's figure out here, we have a new faction heir, which is Captain General Isidro. This is the new faction heir. This guy is the faction heir. He's very capable, he's as capable as Diego, and he is perhaps the same as Diego in loyalty, but in popularity, let me check a little bit. In popularity, well, it's basically the same. The only difference is that he has, in uptightness, he has a decorous dilettante mindful of appearances. This guy has a spy master with him, a mentor, and that's it. He's sharp, charismatic, and dangerous. Okay, up to this point, we know what is the situation, but I'm going to establish right now what is going to be our goals in this campaign. So the first thing is going to be, because we want to revert to absolute monarchy and we want to be absolutists, we want to have good relations with Emperor Napoleon. Emperor Napoleon is representing the fact that the Second French Republic is right now with an emperor that is ambitious, so this is going to be good for our friend here, Prime Minister Alfonso. Now, we can, for example, say that Diego does not want some political views, or he is not in favor of some others. However, in this case, Diego de Larsundi is going to be a neutral character, so his actual point of view, his ideology is going to be neutral. Now, in the other part, when we go to America, we're going to see Mr. Damas here. We're going to call him Mr. Damas. Mr. Damas is quite interested in the fact that Spain regains the actual glory that is now lost. So to do that, we must start retaking some of the territories that were part of the Spanish Empire. And to do that, we would have to fight with a lot of factions. But we know that in Florida, for example, we have, for example, the Confederates. In this case, the Confederates could pose a good ally for us, because we don't want, again, the Americans, I mean the northern half of the America, which is the Unionists, to win the Civil War. And we will try to do something in order for the Confederates to be in better terms with Spain. For that to happen, we must recruit some agents. Now, in this mod, you don't begin with agents. It's pretty much very sad, because we don't begin with agents, so we must recruit those. So, as right now, we know that we want to regain, and this is, as I said, the point of view of Mr. Damas is to perhaps regain the glory of Spain, and that is the actual agenda of Prime Minister Alfonso, that wants to get the absolutism in the actual government. That is the plan. The character that we are going to represent here, he is neutral. He will do whatever he must do to make his nation great. Okay, everything is okay. Now, we understand that we want to regain territory, but it's not going to be so easy. Why do I say this? Well, number one, we are in 1860. We could have problems with France, and our main objective here is to get the best relations with France. Let's go ahead and let's see diplomacy here. Everything is okay. No one is at war with no one. The only guys that are at war are over here. We see Oman is allied with UK, which is here listed as Great Britain, and the Boer republics are enemies with the Zulu kingdom. Let's see down here, the Zulu kingdom is at war with those guys, and that's it. The Emirate of Afghanistan is an ally of Great Britain. This is because of the great game in between Russia and Great Britain. And Great Britain as well is allied with the Indian princely states. So basically that's it. All of the nations can choose what is going to be the path to follow. The other thing that I have noted is that Portugal here is not a faction, so here we have pretty much rebels. The good thing about this is the fact that if we want to take Portugal, we're not going to go to war with an actual nation, so this is going to be a good thing for Spain. Obviously, we're not going to mess with the United Kingdom. Gibraltar is going to stay UK. We don't want to deal with UK because we're going to have to deal with the Union in America, and that is enough. Now let's go to America and let's establish what we're going to do in this playthrough. So what we're going to do is to take, we cannot go and attack the Mexicans because attacking the Mexicans means to attack a nation. We're going to try to see what do we got here, and hopefully we're going to get weak nations. We know that from my last videos when I was playing as France, over here we know that this area of Central America is listed as rebel. I'm not pretty sure, I think this area is rebel, so we are going to confirm this, and everything here is rebel as well. This is a good thing for us because we're not going to deal with diplomacy in declaring war to these areas, but the important thing is that we must be very careful because we have to take these areas very quick. Why? Because if we don't, then the Union is going to come here, or even the Confederates, and they're going to take the actual rebels that are here. We have a base here, which is good, but it's simply a Spanish colonial infantry. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is the economy. Up to this point, the economy of Spain is bad. We see that we have projected profits and we have something that is a deficit. We cannot do anything with this deficit. So we must do something to get our economy into a better position. And to do that, we will have to deal with things over here in Havana. So the first and most important thing is, if we are to take back our colonies, our colonial empire, this is going to mean that we will have to have a base of operations in Havana. So we will have to deal with everything that has to do with this settlement. And of course, returning to Europe, we will have to deal with everything that has to do with Barcelona and Madrid. Basically everything that we have here. We have in Galicia, we have Compostela, and here in Andalusia, we have Seville. So this is good. We have one garrison here in the Balearic Islands, and we have as well settlements, not only in Europe, but as well in Manila. This is the Philippines. Now, talking about the Philippines, we're not going to meddle too much with this. We already know that we have a Spanish colonial infantry down here in the south. We have in the center of the Isles of the Filipinas, we have another infantry. We have a small fleet. Yes. And we have at least, let's see, the general, a normal general. Interesting that he has a trusty pistol. Of course, we can see that we can recruit a diplomatic mission, which is a diplomat over here. This is going to help us perhaps to do some diplomatic interaction with China. I think it's going to be okay. But how are we going to deal with the economic situation? Okay, to deal with the economic situation, we're going to begin with the actual areas that are surrounding Madrid. So first, we're going to send a a message to all of these areas in which we are going to ask for revenue tariff. So we're going to begin increasing the tariffs of these regions. Now, take note that we are not increasing the tariffs in Madrid. We're just increasing the tariffs over here. Now, let's see what does that mean in terms of economy. So we have made a little bit better the situation of the economy by increasing the tariffs in these three regions. But then the other thing that we have to think about is what we're going to build in here. We have at least 6,000 gold, and we need to think what is going to be our next steps in terms of the economy. So let me see here. We have the option here to build limited industrialization, which is going to take 12 turns. Now, 12 turns, you're going to note that you're going to get 3 months every turn. So every 4 turns we get 1 year. Okay, so this is going to be 3 years. So limited industrialization is going to take 3 years. And let me go to the actual infrastructure browser. In here, let's see, industrialization. There you go. So first of all, we have proto-industry. This is what we got here. This provides increase in tradable goods, we have trade ports, commercial harbor, whatever you have. If you have paved roads, you have public order bonus due to happiness, and as well public order bonus due to happiness minus 5% if you have railways, and you have better administrative budget. This is called the proto-industry. Now, we know that in history we are going to go to the limited industry and industrialization when we start to get into the 20th century. So this is going to be a good idea to start getting the limited industrialization to improve our economy. That's one thing. Now, the other thing that we have is widespread public education. Widespread public education is going to give public order bonus due to law, and administrative budget is going to be increased as well. So by this, we can spend 4,800 that is going to cost the widespread public education, and as well 3,600 to get the limited industrialization. But there's something that we are not taking into account, and that is our situation in America. So let's go to America and let's see what we can develop here, and if it's going to be better for us to develop something here instead of Europe, at least in the first stages. Let's remember as well that we have to recruit diplomatic missions, and this is going to cost 250 gold. So if we are going to recruit 3 of those, we're going to have to spend 750. So that is something. Now, let's see what we have here. We have the possibility to get cavalry stables, which is not something that we are in a hurry to get. We can get proto-industry, which is going to be very good. It's very cheap. But we have the Naval Academy that will give naval recruitment cost is going to be reduced, and experience bonus for ships with cannons recruited +1. Now let's remember that in medieval, let's see what we have here. These are the actual fleets that we have. But even though these are gunboats and stuff, we're still in medieval total war. Let's remember that in this title we cannot fight naval battles. By that I mean you cannot go into a naval battle and you know that you cannot interact with the actual situation. So this is going to be pretty much an auto resolve. So the more fleet do you have, the most opportunities that you get in winning. With that being said, we know that this is a good position for us, but is very expensive. In the other hand, the very first thing that we need to focus here is perhaps intensive manual agriculture. Now, this thing is more historical. Let me show you here. Where is the actual... There you go. It is a colonial administration that gives public order bonus to law, public order bonus due to happiness, administrative budget, increase in tradable goods, and cultural conversion. Let's have a look at the culture over here very quickly in Havana. We already know that we have Latin and we have Imperial 50%. We have more Imperials over here than Latin, and this is going to cost a little bit of public order if we move our general out from here. So because of this situation, because the balance of the culture is not more in the Latin, we need to be very careful about what we're going to do in terms of movement. If we take this guy out, I'm pretty sure that these guys are going to be pissed off. What we're going to do in terms of that? Well, we have technical education, which is going to give public order bonus due to law, and even though it's not so cheap, is going to increase the public order bonus and is going to give us a lot of money. But take a look at this. We're going to be waiting for technical education 2 years. So we have to have all of this in mind to start creating our strategies. So number one, okay, let's start. We're going to recruit the diplomatic mission. So we're going to get one diplomatic mission here. Let's go to the other guy. We are going to go to, actually not exactly Madrid, but here in Barcelona. Over here we're going to take another diplomatic mission. This diplomatic mission here is going to be sent to France. And then we need to go to Manila and get ourselves another diplomatic mission over here. As far as we can see, we are left with 5,250. Okay. Pretty much that's what we got up to this point. So let's go again and return to our commander here, Damas.
Your orders, number one.
Now, what we're going to do here first. Now, let's think about it. If we take these guys and we leave this area, and we could have a revolt. We have a Spanish fleet here,
yes,
that can take our troops and can move our troops into this area. But another thing is that if we leave this place unprotected, there's a huge possibility that these guys are going to come down and see that this place is empty, so they are going to attack. We're going to focus ourselves on having a foothold again in the actual America, and we're going to go, and I decided that the first foothold that we can get is going to be here in the area of Venezuela, or perhaps in the area of Colombia. So we're going to find ourselves a good spot in which we can unload our troops and start gaining a little bit of territories. Now, I'm going to end the actual series in this Steam and Steel Spain series when we get hold of this area of Gran Colombia. This is going to be pretty much the actual goal of this series. Then, if it's possible, we're going to take Santo Domingo, and perhaps we're going to get, if there's a possibility, I don't know if there's an island here or something that we can get here. I'm not sure if that's a possibility. If we can't do that, we're going to do that. So how are we going to survive this situation? If I was saying that if we move these troops away, these guys could rebel, so the first thing that we have to do is, of course, to get more troops, but we cannot recruit, as you can see. And the ability for us to recruit is very, very low. We have only 2 slots. So, what are we going to do? Let's see. We can, for example, there's this thing that says Standing Army. This is the actual building that gives us the ability to recruit. If we go to the building browser and we go to the military, it's not military industry, let's see here. Maritime commerce is this thing, militarization. We see that the next step is a city. So it says conscription. If we want to build a conscription, this one here is a city, we need to have a little bit more of money, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Conscription here, extensive colonial settlement. This thing here allows us to train Spanish colonial infantry. So this means, where's the other guy that I want to build here? So this is a city. The next level of the settlement is okay, it's a city. So we are a minor city. Even though it's a city, we know that right now that we are a minor city. So this means that we're going to need plenty of population in order for us to get more, to get to the other level. So the thing is that this thing here, increased tradable goods, paved roads and trade port, improved farms and food production +4. This is very good, it's not so expensive, and we can have this one as well. So if we do this too, well, we cannot do the other one. We can do this one and we cannot do this one. So I can try to think that the best option is going to be the intensive manual agriculture. So that's what we're going to do. And in terms of recruitment, we cannot recruit more, but we're going to get a spy, so we can spy over here or down in South America. So that's, at least that's the first thing we're going to do, because we don't have too much money. And as you can see, we are left right now with very, very small amount. How much is this? 100. So yeah. So that's the thing. So that's pretty much the only thing we can do. Or perhaps we can decide not to recruit the spy. And if we don't recruit the spy, we have 450. And I think there's nothing we can do with 450. So the best thing to do is that. Now, let's go back to Europe. And in here, we're going to do something special. We're going to take down the actual constitutional monarchy. So that's something very, very huge, and we're going to do that. It's going to hit the administrative budget, but it's something that we must do sooner rather than later. So yeah, we're going to do that. At least we got a little bit of money by doing that. So the other thing we can do, if we see here, the provisional absolute monarchy is going to cost a lot of money. In the next turn, we're not going to be able to get that. We are losing a lot of money. That's because we just destroyed that. But we're going to fix that by getting we have two options: widespread public education or this thing here, limited industrialization. I think the best thing is going to be this one. Now this is a tough decision. We can get this one, or we can get more troops, I think, or we can increase the tariffs. So up to this point, I think we're going to get ourselves with widespread public education. It is tough, I know, and we're not getting good economy because of these, but I think we're going to be okay doing that. So here, because we're not going to move right now, we're going to increase these to revenue tariff. And we're going to go to Manila. And in here, we're going to go here for emergency taxation. So these guys are going to get a little bit angry with us because of that. Here you can see that there's a lot of tribal Muslim population here that is going to be a little bit angry with us. But we can at least send these guys to the north.
Orders.
So I'm going to move this guy here.
March.
And this guy here.
My lord.
So we can take our boats.
Yes, my lord.
I'm going to take the wooden sail.
Yes.
One here.
Leaving the rest of the fleet. Yes, my lord.
This other one here.
Your order? Separating
Move them here.
Yes.
We're going to use
Yes,
our
ma'am.
troops to get more soldiers
Full
in here.
sails. Yes. Combining the fleets.
There we go. So at this moment we get more troops in here. At least this doesn't mean that these guys are going to be very happy about the emergency taxation, but that's everything that we can do. An actual drawback of doing this is that because we have taken these guys from the actual Spanish settlements, then the actual expenditure that we are applying to the upkeep of those units is right now hurting us much more in terms that we are spending more. Okay, so now let's send these two. We're going to send a couple of guys here. We're going to send here just to figure out what is going on here. So we're going to see what is happening there. So there we go. We are in Hong Kong right now. We see that that is property of the British miners, is a British miner city. So now let's send these guys to Taiwan. Okay, and we see that everything here is part of the King Empire. Okay. The next turn we're going to do something about this. Sadly, we cannot recruit more troops. There's nothing we can do here. So let's return to here. And at least, I'm pretty sure that everything is going to be okay. I think we're doing this. Now, right now, I can say, okay, let's go to emergency taxation. We already gave revenue tariff, but emergency taxation is going to make these guys very angry. So perhaps here, one thing I can do is to increase the actual taxation of Madrid. What happens here? It's not so good, so we can increase perhaps here. Let's go more for emergency taxation over here. Let's increase here to emergency taxation, and here to emergency taxation. Now this is a game changer because now everyone is going to be angry. Of course, this means that we can get better results here, but let's say if I send these guys, were not paying for them, but let's say that this is getting free upkeep. So over here we have these guys, so I'm going to send Diego to Barcelona. This is not changing anything here. Perhaps if I take this guy out, nothing. It's exactly the same situation.
Command me.
Okay, so now what else we can do? We can take these guys, send them directly to here.
March.
This does not change anything. What else we got here? Everything here is free, so it's not worth to move them. So let's send these two guys down here. And still we get 60, so it's not good. Okay. At least what I can do in the meantime is to perhaps take all of these guys.
Your orders, noble one.
And I would like to send them to Seville, or to spread them in between these two areas. So what I'm going to do is to take
Your orders?
this guy here.
Yes. Breaking away from the fleet.
Let's take
Orders.
half of them.
Yes, my lord.
So what is this? Spanish colonial infantry. So
Your orders?
we don't need colonial. Well, that's it doesn't matter. I'm going to send these guys here.
Plotting course now, my lord.
This doesn't do anything at all. So I can take the actual
Your Majesty.
colonial troops and bring them back here.
Back to land, men. Orders.
And finally get this guy and
Your
this guy.
orders, noble one.
If there's a possibility to send this guy somewhere around here.
Yes, my lord. Bless you, lord. Back on dry land. Your orders, noble one.
There's nothing we can do. And at least if I move this one,
Your
for
orders,
example,
noble one.
it's changing a little bit, so 65 is better, so we're going
Your
to
orders, noble one.
move this guy down here and
Yes,
send
what
him
is
back
noble
here.
lord? Bless you, lord. Back on dry land. Your orders, noble one. Your orders?
Okay, that's it. So I think we're going to end the turn by the time being and wait for the next turn and see what happens. Capital backup available. Administrative preparations. Administrative preparation is a necessity precondition for the relocation of central government to this location. It does not cost, so we're going to accept it. The decades of steam, 1860 to 1869. So here you can read this card, which is going to tell you about what is this decade of the steam. Feel free to pause and read it. Civil disorder, very nice image here. It's full of malcontents. Rioting has broken out in several places because they are receiving a lot of increase in taxes, and there's a lot of riotings through your lands, clearly forgetting it is not their lot in the life to demand things. The following settlements are rioting. In Manila, for example, the people of Manila just went directly to the trade port. Very smart move, because they are harming the trade. And the citizens that were killed were 1,450. We're going to assume that the citizens that were killed were actually colonials. And colonials meaning civil colonials. And soldiers killed, 22 in these riots that happened in Manila. In Seville, on the other hand, there were 1,200 civilians killed and 7 soldiers killed. At least in Seville we got more people that were affected in comparison with Manila. Now let's see here. We have recruited 3 diplomats and 1 spy. We're going to make good use of those guys. The Russian Empire is the most powerful military in the military, and the King Empire is the most powerful in production and financial. We have population Great Britain. Now let's have a look at what we're getting here. Okay, we're getting very good amount of money. That was just the thing that we were getting bad economy was because we were building new stuff. So now we can release a little bit of the burden in these areas. So we're going to go to revenue taxation. In here we go to revenue tariff again. Let me see here. Revenue tariff in Compostela. Hopefully this is going to be good. 342. So this leaves us with the situation of Manila. Now, over here in Manila, we know that the people are very angry. We can repair. The trade port is just giving money. Or we can retrain. We can recruit, but there's nothing of worth to recruit in terms of these. So one thing we can do, if we do this, well, actually, we would need to get local policing if we are to bring a little bit of public order into this region. So let's see. Let's go ahead and retrain Spanish infantry. I think it's going to be worth it. The next turn, we're not going to be able to get these up to the next turn, but I don't know what happens if we retrain this guy. Let's not do it because I'm not sure. If I reduce this and go to revenue tariff, we're still getting money, but very, very low money. So that's what I'm going to do now, just for the time being. So let's see if we can bring over here the wooden sail frigate.
Leaving the
Now,
rest of the
let's
fleet,
remember
my lord.
that in this mod, this is something very interesting about this mod. When you get the diplomatic mission and you get the agent to create a little bit of trade with other nations, you're going to get a huge amount of gold just by trading with other nations. So we have here a guy that is called Antonio. Antonio is our diplomat in Manila. He's going to be sent to the Chinese and to the British to start establishing a little bit of connections in terms of trade and economy. But let's remember that here in Manila, the malcontents or rioters, they destroyed the actual port. So we will have to deal with this. But in the meantime, we send Antonio, which has two of these parchments in influence, which gives, it is said, even this man's wife barely takes heed of what he says. So, sadly, this guy is not so good in terms of diplomacy. So in the meantime, at least he is a good diplomat, even though his wife is not willing to heed what he says. He's a good diplomat. So we're going to send this guy to China. Then we're going to recruit another diplomat here. Let's go to the other region. Here we're going to get another spy, because I would like to have 2 spies. And let's do, perhaps, this is a trade company. Let's do another diplomat here. And finally, let me go ahead here in actually Barcelona. Let me get a diplomat, and that's it. I think we're good with this. So let's return over here to Manila. Okay, so now here in Manila, I'm going to send the agent.
Noble lord.
And we're going to start our diplomatic missions over here. So we're going to send the diplomat here.
Leaving the ship.
Let's move this guy to here, to Japan, so we can see a little bit of what is happening here.
Plotting course now, man.
This is an independent settlement. Okay.
Yes. Yes, my lord.
Here we have the Japanese. Over here we see this is the symbol of the Imperial Japanese, which is different. In here we have the possibility to see the shogunate. Let me go. We know that here, I think there's nothing else here. Let's continue our movement through the coast of Japan, and we can see here in Kyoto is now controlled by the Tokugawa shogunate. Now, let's see in terms of diplomacy what is happening in Japan. Perhaps the Japanese are at war with the shogunate. They are not. They are not. Who is at war with? No one has declared war, apparently, so we're good in that regard.
Your orders?
Okay, and now let's send this fleet over here to see what is happening in Korea.
Dropping anchor.
Okay, here we have the
dawn.
Koreans, which are treated here as rebels. Good. So now let's return to Manila. We have established a little bit of order here. And now we have the actual diplomat here. We're going to talk with, let's see who is here. Walter Haig. This is a good general of the British, and we're going to talk with this guy. Okay, let's see what we get.
Yes, Lord.
What is it you wish to
Okay, we're going to
discuss?
get trade rights, and I'm not going to risk map information. Trade rights is very good. Let's demand single payment for trade rights. Just because they have Gibraltar, every time that we talk with the British, we're going to ask something in return. So let's remember that Antonio is not very well regarded by his wife, but let's see. It says that he's a good diplomat, so let's see if he manages to talk with Walter Haig and get us this trade right.
No, we cannot agree to this now.
Of course. We're going to accept just the trade rights.
Glad we could reach an agreement.
Now, let me show
Until we
you
meet again,
that if I right now go to the financial, we can see that just by doing that, we are gaining 650. Let's remember that we got 90 just because of the actual tariffs that we were getting from all of our regions. We got 91. But just with this trade agreement, we managed to increase the projected profits to this. And here you see that the actual direct taxes are basically in between direct taxes and trade is the actual income that we're getting. Farming is getting us a little bit more, but not too much as the fact that we're getting most of our economy in trade and direct taxes. This is the reason I said that was very smart from the actual Manilans to destroy the trade port. And here we see that our expenditure is mostly on army upkeep because we have a huge army. So that is something to take into account. Another thing is to move. We can decide if we move to the east here or to the west. To the west we have the French, because we know that here in Indochina we have the French. Most likely everything that is the other regions here are rebels. Or we can send this guy to the Chinese. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to send him
Naturally, my lord.
here to the Chinese. We are very close to them. So the path is now blocked by the Chinese settlement here. It's actually a king settlement. Here we see that he manages to recognize green banner conscripts. Okay, so now let's take these.
Yes.
This is our wooden sail brigade. We're going to send the wooden sail brigade here.
Full sail.
So then we can start
This
getting
is as
more.
far as we go
Our
today,
next
my lord.
agent
We
that
shall
we're going to
continue
recruit here.
tomorrow, my lord.
We can get our next agent somewhere around here in India, for example.
Yes, my lord.
We're going to send this guy all over the coast here,
Plotting course now, my lord.
so we can confirm the actual rebels that are here. So let's move down
Full
here.
sails.
We're going to see where is the actual beginnings of Indochina, French Indochina. There you go. Here we see a French fleet. Let's continue.
Full sails.
Here we reach to Saigon, and now we can perhaps go straight to here, and let's see if we can manage to find another faction in which we can start getting a little bit of trade. Here we see a little bit of rebels, and here we see Netherlands. Okay, so
Yes.
let's check if we can find the actual settlement of Netherlands.
Dropping anchor until
Could be
morning.
this one. This is a Dutch settlement, so we know that the Dutch are here. So that's the next area in which we're going to send our next diplomat over here. Okay, I think we have finished
Yes, my lord.
in here. So now let's go to America. Okay, so over here we see we see that we got our spy. This spy is called Camilo. He has 2 in subterfuge. He may be willing to do the W's, but he lacks the guile and cunning to do it well. He's not a good guy to start with. And here we have Ramon, which says even when he's full of conviction, nobody listens too much to this man. Okay, this is not going to be good. Perhaps we're going to send him to Mexico. That's going to make a little bit more sense. So let's take here the actual wooden frigate.
Your orders?
Place the wooden frigate
Breaking
here.
away from the fleet.
And we're going to send
An
those
honor.
these 2 guys
An order.
actually to Mexico.
Yes, my lord.
So let's go here. Let's have a little bit of recon. I'm going to drop here the actual spy.
Yes.
There you see the spy.
Yes, my
And then we're going to drop this guy in Veracruz.
full sail.
This is our diplomat.
Yes, my lord. Going ashore.
Okay. Soon we're going to continue here with these 2 agents. In the meantime, we're going to take these. This wooden steam corvette is going to be sent here because I want to see what is happening over
Separating
here.
the fleets. Yes, my lord. Full sails.
Okay, fair enough. Then we're going to
Yes.
take these gunboats and we're going to send them here.
Plotting course now, my lord. Yes, my lord. Your orders? Breaking away from the fleet.
Okay, this way we're going to have a look on the actual situation here.
Yes, my lord. Leaving the rest of the fleet, my lord.
Let's see if these guys are at war. So we see that the Confederates are not yet at war with these guys. Okay,
Your orders?
so let's bring this guy back.
Plotting course now, my lord.
So the next agent
shall
that
continue
we are
tomorrow,
recruiting
my
here, including the spy, they are going to be sent to South America. So now we're going to take this guy and we're going to see what is happening here.
Investigating.
Okay, so here we see an army,
I am a soldier. Speak to our
and here we see a city. This is a minor city that is located here in Central America.
Sire.
I'm going to advance a little bit more here.
As you wish. I will hide. And
There's a lot of settlements here, including this one and another army. So now let's send our diplomat to the capital of Mexico.
Naturally, my lord. On my way.
Let's see if we can figure out what is happening here. Nothing. We don't know anything about this faction. So let's talk with the
No,
Mexicans.
Yes, is there something I can do for you?
Let's remember that nobody listens too much to this man. At least he could get us a little bit of a trade agreement, I think.
I see no problem here.
Okay.
It is agreed.
Benito agrees.
Until next time.
Now it's interesting to note that we have less projected profits now. Very interesting.
Someone to see?
So now let's send this guy to the north so we can talk with the
Naturally,
Confederates.
my lord. Yes, my lord.
As soon as we get
But, my lord, I cannot
near
go
their
yet.
settlements. Okay, I think we're done here. So now let's go to Europe. And over here, okay, let's remember that we just decreased now. Instead of emergency tax, we're now in revenue tariff. And here, I think Madrid will go down a little bit. Free trade, I think it's going to be better. It's going to be losing a little bit more of money. Not too much, but it's okay. So let's take the agent here. We're recruiting another agent. Hopefully the spy is not going to be worth it. So we're going to recruit the agent, and let's take this one. This is not so good, but it's a promising diplomat, so we're going to send him
Noble lord.
and talk. Now this is not good. We see a half stack of French troops over here. So one thing I'm going to do is to send my troops there.
Yes,
Because it's not good the fact that the French are
my lord.
very near to my border.
Yes,
There you go. Losing a little bit of money. This is not good. And then the fact that this guy is here, I don't like as well. But I'm not sure how aggressive this guy is. So then I'm still sending
let me
Diego
your orders, noble one.
and all of these
Your
guys
Majesty. Yes. Orders.
to actually defend
Your Majesty.
Navarre.
Your orders,
Because I'm
noble
afraid
one.
of these guys. Okay. That's better. So with that, I can, in a more relaxed fashion, go and talk with anyone that is here in Paris. There you go. Can we talk with this guy?
Yes, lord. What is it
Let's
you
go
will talk to
UNMADE.
us about, senor?
Freight, they say, is generous. So, apart from trade, I think the best thing we can do is to make an alliance. So we can ask for single payment of 200 and make an alliance. Perhaps we can increase the single payment and get ourselves a little bit more of money. Let's see.
A very reasonable
Good,
proposal.
they accepted.
Very well. We accept.
So this Valentine is not so bad.
Adieu, senor.
So now we are allies with Napoleon, which is good. Hopefully we're going to be able to get, apart from the widespread public education, we're going to be able to get ourselves the provisional absolute monarchy. And now we can see that we're doing much more money. That's good. So we are now allies with France. Now, the alliance with France is definitely going to make the difference, because now United States is
Noble
perhaps
lord.
not going to attack us. So let's move this. We have plenty of movement here. So first we're going to move down here to Italy, or I think I'm going to go first to the German areas. There's a lot of rebels here. So let's move to Berlin,
On my way.
somewhere around here.
Naturally, my lord.
So these are the Germans here.
On my way.
There we go.
Naturally, my lord.
So there's Berlin. We're going to talk with the Germans next. And then the next diplomat, perhaps I can send the next diplomat over here. Did we get some spies here? No. Okay. So I think we are done with our movements here. So let's end the turn. Okay, this is in Compostela, another administrative preparations. And now, let's see. Confederate States of America. Various disputes, actions, and discrepancies have continued to deteriorate the relationship you have with these people. Okay. Apparently, we are not... Oh, they are at war with us. So we will have to fix that. Russia is at war with Kokand, and the United States is at war with the Confederates. Sadly, the Confederates are now at war with us. So we will have to move these guys so we know that in Manila, Havana, and in Barcelona we got diplomats. So let's take the diplomats away. We're going to check that later. Just move this guy out. Let me see what we got here. The Prime Minister Alfonso has Ordnance Master. So it has +1 command when commanding gunpowder troops and +1 command when commanding artillery. And retinue expands as well with him. Harsh Judge -1 from popularity. So the popularity of Alfonso is now going down. He doesn't have popularity. Russia is the first in military. Indian princely states are now the most powerful in finances, and production is the king, and the population is the king. Okay, now let's see what we can do with the Confederates. We need to talk with them.
To see? Naturally,
So let's get a little bit of let's go here to Houston. Who is this
It
guy?
will be an honor defeating you.
Albert and James. Let's talk with Mr. Irvin. Okay, here in Houston.
We shall listen to
Okay,
your
we want a
proposal, but do not
ceasefire
expect
because it's not going to be worth to have this foolishness of a war that we don't want with you, because we want to defeat the democracies of the world. So we're going to get trade rights, and afterwards we're going to get a little bit of an alliance, I think. So perhaps they can give us map information. That's going to be good. So let's see.
It's good to see.
Good. They accepted, and now we can go and do an alliance. Very demanding, so we can make an offer of military access, which they are not going to accept. And we can offer map information, which is going to be balanced. Okay, let's see.
I must say we are not
sad.
convinced.
Let's see if we can
Another
get an alliance with these
We're
guys,
happy to listen.
and perhaps I will give a single payment of 300. Demanding, it says, but perhaps map information is going to be better.
Let's not take this any further.
Okay, interesting. These guys are saying right now
Well,
that they are
that
not
seemed fruitful.
interested
Farewell.
in the actual situation of an alliance, which is sad. But at least we managed to get the hostilities ceased. Now let's see. Confederate States. This means that they are neutral. The relations are very poor, and the reputation is untrustworthy, and we have trade rights. Trade rights are giving us a lot of money, which is pretty good. So up to this point we have managed a lot of interesting stuff here. So let me just take the agents here.
Where to, sire?
I'm going to bring these agents outside here.
Yes, my lord.
We're going to check them later. And then let's go to Manila here, and let's bring this guy out here.
Noble lord.
So there we are. I'm going to leave it here. Hopefully you are enjoying this. This mod is very nice. It gives us the possibility to command a nation, the diplomatic situation of the nation, and the military aspects of the nation in the Victorian era, which is a very interesting era in terms of Total War, even though in Total War you don't have the depth of diplomacy that you have in other games such as Paradox games, but here it's very fun to have your armies moving around the whole globe and having the possibility to experience the Victorian era in a Total War game is something that is definitely worth it. This was Victus. See you in the next one.